On today's podcast, we get the joy of spending some time with the dream team. That is our church office trio. And it's going to be great just to hear a little bit from them about what they've been up to over the past few months. So can you start, ladies, by just telling us a bit about your specific areas of responsibility and what have been some of your main focuses over the past few months?
Yes, I'll start. My main responsibility is to support Patrick and the rest of the staff team. So in recent months, we've been looking at how we do things differently online. So the rhythm of our staff meetings, and we've even had an online staff away day, which I organised. We've been reviewing and updating our annual review forms and processes. I've been doing admin for Alpha and preaching plans and things like that. We have set up prayer ministry via Zoom, which I hosted on a weekly basis. Most recently, we've been doing Operation Cupcake, as it became affectionately known, which is an opportunity to thank people in the church. So we've been busy organising that. And I'm also working on an online questionnaire, which we're going to send out to the church to find out how they've been getting on with our online services.
Fantastic. So it sounds kind of business as usual, but how do we do it all online?
Absolutely.
Jen, what about you?
I am assisting Janet. Obviously, it's been an interesting start to the new role, obviously being in lockdown. So I've been responsible for, we've been doing a bit more of a push on the social media and getting Holy Trinity out there in the big wide world of Facebook and Twitter. So I've been coordinating all of the podcast, rotaring our lovely church family to do the online prayers for the online service and the readings, and just general day-to-day keeping in touch with people and making sure that things are flowing as smoothly as they possibly can from the comfort of my home office / bedroom.
Wonderful. And I think podcasts and the social media in particular, it's been great for us to get connected in new and different ways in this time when we haven't been able to see each other. So that is fantastic. Thank you. And Janet, I can't imagine you've been very busy.
Oh no, feet up, gin and tonic in hand. No, it's been very, very different. As Jen said, she was appointed in January, and suddenly by the time she joined us, we were in lockdown. So the handover with Catherine was amazing, but all on Zoom. And, we would normally be in the office every day together, but actually there's only been one day when all three of us socially distanced have been there. So it has been very different. Having said that, there have been lots of things that have carried on, albeit differently. Pentecost blessing being one, which ordinarily would have all happened on Pentecost Sunday, instead of which the blessing went out around the village, which took a huge amount of organising to get people, deployed to actually go to homes, but it was amazing. And the reaction from people has just been such a blessing for us. So, that's something that we have all benefited from. Me personally, I had Vicky Schmidt come and stand on my doorstep. So it was fantastic. But of course, being online has brought all sorts of other challenges, not least because we have a Sunday service. So one of the projects I've been working on is something called broadcasting assets. And you may notice if you watch carefully on a Sunday morning that it's now much more uniform, things are looking much smarter, it's much easier on the eye, and of great importance, it's a much easier task to put together our Sunday services, because Sunday services online are not going away anytime soon. So that's and then more recently we've had the finance review. So, there has been a lot going on, and we've had Jigsaw come back, and we've started a Wednesday Holy Communion service, private prayer, so all sorts of preparations and planning around that. So yeah, very different, but some of it's very similar and very familiar.
Wow, you have all been phenomenally busy. We have been so blessed by all that you've been doing, and it's just really interesting to hear how much goes on behind the scenes and how much you've had to think creatively as well. Let's just talk. You mentioned the Pentecost blessing, Janet. Where have been some of the unexpected blessings throughout this for you as a team or for you personally? Lou, do you want to share something?
Yes, I think for me, sort of stories and encouragements that I've heard when I've been out and about. So if I bumped into somebody when I've been on a walk or something like that, and they've just said, oh, we've so appreciated this or that, that's been a real encouragement, a real blessing to me, because when you're doing everything online, you don't have the same sort of feedback that you get in person. And so it's been really, really encouraging to hear what has encouraged others.
Wonderful, thank you. Jen, anything from you?
For me, on a personal level, it's been the morning prayer that we've been logging into each morning. It wasn't something that I did before I joined the staff team at Holy Trinity, and I really look forward to it. It really gives me a really good kick-off to the day. You know, if maybe we've had a bit of a rough night with Aidan, you know, he's 10 months and sleeps well, but every so often he decides to have a party at 2 a.m. And to just have that morning prayer to kind of get you up, center you and send you out for the day has just been fantastic. On a personal level, a real blessing.
That's really encouraging, because it's so important for all of you that you are fed as you serve. So that's a really great plug as well for morning prayer. Good one, Jen. Janet, anything from you? Unexpected blessings?
Yeah, well, as I feared, going third out of 3 people, Jen has just nicked my thoughts. Because I will just say about morning prayer, it's a proper community. There's 30 people that are regularly there, and it's just wonderful checking in like that. And I can't imagine that we won't do morning prayer on Zoom, because people, you know, the Eastwoods join us from Yorkshire, so that has been amazing. Just going back to the Pentecost blessing, seeing the photos coming in of closed doors and open doors, and sometimes we do get to see that slightly bigger picture. So when we do go out, as I did yesterday, to have conversations on the doorstep with people delivering cupcakes is just amazing, and it does feel like a real privilege that we're in that position. So when you do give us feedback, it's just fantastic to hear, and we don't underestimate how very privileged we are to be able to serve in that way.
Isn't it wonderful, you know, particularly with this morning prayer and with so many other things, this got thrown on us as a result of COVID, and yet so many doors have opened, and a new community in morning prayer is particularly wonderful. Now, you've shared the fact that you haven't actually been together. This is as together as it goes in the office, so I guess that's been a challenge. What have some of the other challenges been in this working situation? And I'm going to let Janet go first this time.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, actually, the fact that we're not together is quite a challenge, because I'm very aware from Jen's perspective that some of the stuff that we would just talk about naturally in the space of 1 minute now takes us probably 20 minutes by the time, you know, you've logged in and had a conversation. And a lot of things go on that you just kind of pick up naturally because you're part of bigger conversations. So we have to be much more careful about how we communicate, much more thinking about, now, does that other person know about this? Because I'm the one person that's had one conversation with another person. So we do need to really take that one on board. I think that's probably the biggest challenge. And we just miss, you know, we're quite sparky people, but we spark off each other. So, you know, like now, sitting in my kitchen chatting is a bit bizarre, but I do feel connected. What would we have done without Zoom?
Oh, goodness me, exactly. And I'm sure people watching this podcast will completely relate to that inability just to connect as well with other people, because we're all tucked away in our homes doing things. So I recognise that as a challenge. Jen, anything from your perspective?
Standard challenges that most parents are finding: childcare, you know, and with a 10-month-old who is teething and is, you know, he's learned how to roll, and as Janet knows, he rolls pretty quick when he's sitting in the background when I'm having to watch him for 20 minutes. It's okay, we caught him, it's fine. So yeah, that has been a challenge, but equally in itself it's been a blessing, because and I've said previously, to join the staff team, I cut my intended maternity leave by 6 months, and actually I've still kind of had it, because I've still been at home with him. So yeah.
Wow, God was definitely in that, and in the timing for you. That's fantastic. Thank you. Lou, what about any challenges for you?
I'm not sure I can add too much new. I think for me is very similar to what they're saying. I think just what you pick up when you're in the office, you do miss out when you're all in the same place together, and that definitely has an impact. And the other thing that's been particularly challenging for me has been homeschooling alongside, but you know, we're almost there. We're at the end of term, and at least we've got a break from that for a few weeks, and hopefully it'll be different in September.
Brilliant. Thank you, ladies. So how can we pray for you, as with all that we've taken in from this podcast, and anybody, feel free to share any particular prayer needs.
So we're about to hit the holiday period. So prayer for those who are having a break, prayer for those of us who are left behind, covering, and also just some of the uncertainties. You know, government make decisions that are for our best, but it does impact on how we do church. So at the moment we have 43 chairs in the church, and unless something major happens and we're able to not have to keep them 2 meters apart, you know, it's hard to envisage what a Sunday service might look like. So some prayer around that would be really helpful, particularly as things do start to change, that we make wise decisions for everybody, for those who can join us online and those who can't. We know that we've got a following of people now who just join us online, who are not likely to ever be there in person. So, you know, it's how we also, you know, help and welcome all of those. So I think that would be my main prayer, is that, you know, we really do make the right decisions for everybody.
Yeah, thank you. That's very important. Thank you. Anything else we can be praying for?
I just think, again, for sort of communication and connectivity, just that it continues to be good, and that would be good.
Thank you. Jen, anything from you?
I can just echo exactly what the girls have just said, really. And I guess, you know, maybe some inspiration for different ways to keep building the relationships. You know, as we say, being in the office, you physically, you end up learning little bits and bobs and having kind of little jokes and a bit of banter, which I love, and it's difficult on screen. So just finding new ways of building those relationships. Yeah.
And one day you will get back to the office and you will be together, and we will all be able to come in and pester you. And I know what that's like, having worked in the office. I also know that the most important question to know in the office is, how do you take your coffee? And if you were to be bribed with a sweet treat, what would hit the spot? Lou, what about you?
So coffee black all the way, and without a shadow of a doubt, it's Debbie's Flapjack.
Perfect. Debbie, I hope you're listening. Jen?
I think I'm the only person in the office that takes milk in my coffee.
Yes.
I have learnt that, at least. But I am milk with a touch of sugar. Sweet treat, gotta be the king of biscuits, the chocolate hobnob.
Very nice. Do you dunk?
I do.
Look at Janet's face.
That's something I forgot to ask when we were interviewing you.
Fail, epic fail. And finally, Janet, what do they need to know about you to bribe you?
Oh, black coffee always, and my absolute favourite, Haribo Tang-Fastic. Once I've opened that packet, I've got to eat the lot.
Or she has to hide them somewhere in the office, or get somebody else to hide them for her.
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
That's enough of that. Can I just say thank you all so much. I think you've given us a really important and valuable insight into the reality of the church as it is now, all that you've had to do and think creatively around, and how you work together. And on behalf of us all, I just want to thank you so much for the incredible work that you do, and the wonderful way you do it, and the way you keep us all connected. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.